What does it take to build a billion-dollar company from scratch? What makes you persevere through crippling debt, near bankruptcy, and the unforeseen impact of devastating world events? And then, once it's a success, what makes you decide to walk away from it all to devote the rest of your career to giving back? Well, entrepreneur and philanthropist Sunny Gurpreet Singh will be speaking to us about believing in yourself, taking charge of your well-being, and building a better world. I'm Divya Gopalan, and this is Connected on TaiwanPlus. Sunny Gurpreet Singh started his first company, Edifecs, in Seattle 30 years ago with only his savings and a handful of credit cards. The company grew to be a leader in healthcare AI long before data management and artificial intelligence were buzzwords in the industry. Now, he weathered all kinds of storms to grow it into a unicorn and finally sold it and made his next move into philanthropy. What a journey, Sunny. It's great to have you on the program.
It's lovely to see you, Divya. Thanks for having me on your program and looking forward to our conversation.
Not more than I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Now, you've worked for top companies like Microsoft and other big tech companies in the 1990s, and then you walked away from a stable job to start your own company. Why did you do that? What was that turning point for you?
So basically, after I graduated with my master's, I did about 3 jobs. And I realized that, when you wake up in the morning, you feel you have a sense of purpose and you are looking forward to the day. But in my jobs at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was looking at my watch and saying, when can I go home? And there was nobody waiting at home, even a dog. And so I said, life has to be a bit better than that. I was not having fun, right? You don't feel charged up. And basically, I call myself a corporate misfit. I am a person who have very strong beliefs and convictions. And when I believe in something, I go all out. I don't hold back. And that's not a corporate culture. It's very different. And therefore, I decided to become an entrepreneur at the age of 32 in 1996.
You started, as you said, Edifecs in 1996, and it started with an idea and your savings and a large number of credit cards. What advice would you have for entrepreneurs about believing in your idea? How do you know it is something you should take a risk with?
You'll never know. That's the simple truth, number one. Number two, anything you decide with your business, it's very, very seldom that somebody says, this is where I want to go, and they start something and they end up there. It's like a plane always veers off, and it keeps course correcting during its journey. And so Edifecs was a journey of me saying, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to solve these kind of problems, and I'm all in. And therefore, I'm either going to sink or swim. And so I started the journey in 1996. Went through a hellish time in the first 5 years, on the verge of bankruptcy. Of course, as you stated, I started my company on my credit cards and a little bit of consulting money that I had. I didn't even know the concept of VCs existing, investors existing, so I had no idea how to raise money. And so I just, through just sheer guts and perseverance and resilience, I just went about it. For the first 5 years, it was hellish. We were on the verge of bankruptcy. We had all kinds of debt, tax debt, landlord not getting paid, payroll not getting paid, vendors not getting paid. At the worst time, our payroll was delayed by 2 months. We had a tax debt of $2 million plus as a fledgling startup. And I'm telling you, when the chips are that down, it really brings out your true North Star, your true value system. And I'm so glad I went through that dip in my life, that devastation in my life, because it helped shape me. It kind of told me who I am, what my qualities are, what my value system is, etc. And then we survived. If it doesn't kill you, it only makes you stronger. We survived all of that. We came out of that without declaring bankruptcy. We paid all our debts off. And once we came out of that really bad time, there was no looking back. And then we just grew through every recession and whatnot because we were so seasoned. We were so confident. The team was so solid and saying, you know what, if we can pull through such a tough time together, We're going to make a miracle happen. And literally, we made a miracle happen. So starting a company on my credit cards, going almost on the verge of bankruptcy in 2005, 4, 5 years into the company, and then coming out to become a unicorn. I have to say, and I'm very blessed in a lot of ways with a very good team and some very good luck.
Yes, some would say part of that, the recipe for that miracle was the fact that you were ahead of your time. You were harnessing the power of AI and data well before many companies, as you see today now, everyone's got that as a component in their company. Can you tell us what you saw or how you identified that as being the next evolution of industry?
When we looked at a problem in healthcare, healthcare is very dysfunctional. In the US, globally, it's a very dysfunctional industry, especially from an IT and technology perspective, and quite backward. And so when we looked at every problem we were trying to solve in healthcare, we were looking from a non-healthcare lens. And therefore, the rules of healthcare didn't apply to us because we were not thinking like that. So we were dealing with a lot of data. We were processing billions of transactions for the US healthcare industry. And to process that kind of data, we had to ensure that we analyzed it properly, we mined it properly, the workflows were working well, the observations were working well, and we were able to provide value to our customers. And so we were very value driven, very customer driven, and very innovative. We never let a customer fail. We never stop innovating. And you talked about AI, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things really kind of helped us not only use cutting edge technology, new paradigms, analytics, machine learning, et cetera, because we could not have done it with really a lot of emphasis on data mining and data analysis. So yes, we were ahead of our times, yes, but did we call it AI ML? I don't think so. But we were mining and harnessing data, billions of transactions in the US healthcare industry, and we were very good at it. And that value then translated in our customers being very happy. And as a result, with the team's hard work, innovation, and customer satisfaction, we did very well.
I'm sure you're still watching the evolutions of industry or tech, the big tech companies, or how tech is used in businesses. And I'm curious to know where you stand in the use of AI, especially with many concerns now about, from many people saying that AI is going to take their jobs, or it's going to turn marginalized people, the smaller players. Where do you stand in that debate?
I always look at disruption as a way to reconfigure the world or reconfigure your life for the better. Now, it is up to us. Now, I'll give you an example. We had client-server technology, then an internet wave, Web 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. We've had social media. We've had all of these things come into our lives. Now we can blame anybody for it. Oh my God, tech has made us so busy. We don't have time for our kids. Social media is destroying our kids. And you're 100% right on all of those observations. But I don't look in the mirror and blame somebody else. I look in the mirror and saying, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do with my kids about it? How I'm going to train them the goods and bads of social media. So similarly, the AI debate, it's a bigger debate than ever because every disruption technology has caused a bigger conversation to happen. And this is the biggest of the biggest conversations to be taking place because it's so germane to jobs, to how people work, to thinking, to plagiarism, to cheating in school, to getting somebody like a free tutor, et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, in the AI debate, I feel there has to be an ethical conversation and collaboration that is regulation driven. So the governments have to be really on top of this. It has to be conscious driven and consciousness driven in terms of the tech companies saying, hey, we want to make money, but do we destroy anything in the process? So they have to complain. And the consumer has to be highly educated as to what is this going to do to them. And yes, the world is going to change. Absolutely. But that's life. Human beings are very resilient, and a lot of good things can come from AI. And if AI allows us to work 35 hours a week and get the same productivity, giving more time back to me to enjoy my life, enjoy nature, enjoy my family, I will take it all in, right? But I have to adjust to the new paradigm, right? The expectations will be higher and different. And so we have to retrain ourselves, retrain the coming generation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my take is, don't play the victim card that, oh, I'm the victim. And the younger generation, I advise, be all in. Learn the heck out of AI that you can. Use the tools available because this is only the start of AI. And if you're scared today, God help you 10 years from now, because the world is going to be very different when it comes to AI that is today. So my take is embrace the fear that you have and adapt to the change and just keep reskilling yourself. If I didn't keep learning new things every year, I would have been stagnant 20 years ago and my company would have failed. Innovation is the key to success and to moving forward.
It seems some of the themes along your journey is, as you were saying, resilience, adaptability, and that's kind of what helped you make Edifecs what it became. But, and you mentioned this earlier as one of your last statements, you said, and luck. So to entrepreneurs out there, how much does luck have to do with it?
I think, I will not be arrogant enough in saying I did it all. I think there was some help from nature, and the powers to be were looking down on me and saying, oh, this guy's working hard, his team is working hard, they're doing good things. And we were resilient and persevering enough to survive long enough that every opportunity that came, we had the stamina to grab it and do something with it. So I would say that I won't be arrogant enough to say that there was not a stroke of nature that we had the blessing from, that we did well. So I would say luck played its part. But my take is you can't be an entrepreneur and saying luck will, something will happen. You have to just work so hard. You have to work very smart, and you have to be in for the long haul and run the marathon and let the chips fall where they fall. If you fail, saying it is what it is. If you succeed, saying, hey, we did a few things right and we lucked out. Because there are a lot of people smarter than me, more hardworking than me, with better ideas than me, they were implementing that have not succeeded. And I will never put myself past them.
So after working very smart and very hard, you got Edifecs to a certain point. And in 2020, you sold the company. And correct me if I'm wrong, for about $1.5 billion. How did you know it was time to walk away, and why did you walk away?
So, it was very interesting that throughout the tenure of Edifecs, we had a few times that people would come and saying, hey, we are interested in your company. We never had the intent to sell it. At some point, when the transaction happened prior to that, it became more, the number of inquiries coming increased. I looked at my leadership team. They have been with me from anywhere from 7, 8 years to 25 years. And I was perfectly satisfied. I said, we're a highly profitable company, almost 48, 50% profit EBITDA margin, growing at 18 to 19, 20% year over year. So we were doing just fine. And everybody was very well taken care of. We had a great well-being program, great benefits, the whole 9 yards. And, and I used to ask my leadership team every couple of years, guys, do you want to sell? And they always used to tell me, Sonny, it's your decision, do whatever you feel like. The last time I talked to them, they said, Sonny, it'll be good to take some chips off the table, but the decision is still yours. So I saw that in their eyes that I'm comfortable, but they are saying, hey, they put all their everything into one basket. So I decided to do the transaction. And at that point, I also realized that the value, there's value in the company. I didn't know what the value would have been. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know it was going to be a unicorn. And we sold in 2 chunks, half of it in 2020 at round about the valuation that you suggested. And then we sold the other half of the company, because I owned a little less than half, about 2 to 3 months ago at twice the valuation.
Wow. I think that's every entrepreneur's dream eventually, isn't it? And during all of this, in 2014, you started your second company, RoundGlass, which is now what you're focusing on. Can you tell us what prompted that?
So, my first company being successful, I had been there, didn't have to do anything. And I was doing a lot of soul searching. And I said, if I do anything else in life, if I do another venture, I didn't have to start another company. I had no desire to start another company. I said it has to be revolutionary, it has to be global, and it has to directly impact human beings. That was one thought. The second thought was I was highly disgusted with the healthcare system in the world, in particular the US. We spend $4 trillion in the US on healthcare, more than 4 trillion, growing at double digits almost. And we have great doctors, great science, great machinery, but a very lousy healthcare system. So it's become a business of care versus a system of care. And for that didn't sit well with me. And I said, I was looking at how the epidemic of our time, if you really look at it, was not COVID. COVID just proved to us the emperor has no clothes. What was happening was we are going through a lifestyle where we have no idea how shitty our lifestyle is. 70+% of the healthcare dollars are spent on lifestyle diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular, back issues, anxiety, etc. And the numbers are staggering. 1 in 3 Americans are depressed. That means it's in every family. But that is a telling statistic. And so a lot of things start bothering me, the stats, the nature of how we were living, how the healthcare system was working, and I couldn't sit. I could not do something. And therefore, after a lot of soul searching, I said, we're going to start a company on holistic well-being, not just well-being, holistic well-being, the whole person approach, because it's a lifestyle issue. We have to change people's lifestyle of how they live and live through the prism and the framework of holistic well-being. When that happens, what will happen is that these lifestyle diseases that ail you will start disappearing. And our healthcare system will start gravitating towards or moving towards from what you call a sick care or a disease management system, where if you fall sick, we either pump you with chemicals, push you under the knife, or do nothing, to saying, let's do preventative and then pre-preventative, which is lifestyle. And so my mission has been, and I want to serve the world for the rest of my life, is to democratize and provide access to holistic well-being to humanity. In the process, show them how to live well. And holistic well-being really solves a lot of issues. And this means you are doing physical well-being, emotional well-being, you're doing professional and financial well-being, you're doing community well-being, you're doing social well-being, planetary well-being, and spiritual well-being. There are 8 pillars to well-being, and you bring all those pillars into the mind, body, and soul equation of the whole person approach and make the whole person whole.
It's quite the pivot, and I want to devote the next part of our conversation to the whole idea of giving back and well-being.